In the spirit of Halloween, paranormal or not, what is the scariest, creepiest or most unsettling experience of your life? When I was in high school, my friends and I were always looking to find new places to off-road. We either had Jeeps or lifted Toyota trucks and liked to go trail riding and muddling. We were told about a place about 45 minutes away, but don't go at night, it is easy to get lost. So what do? Go at night. We took a map, enough flashlights to light up a sports arena, compass and food and drink just in case. We find the place and begin riding. Really fun trails that had big hills, streams, and just really nice. We were having a blast. As it got later, we decided to walk around the trails and woods. It was a nice Friday night in late spring. Daytime humidity had all but gone, it was still in the mid-70s and just felt nice. As we were walking down one of the trails, the temperature dropped what felt like 20 degrees. This would not have been crazy to think of down in a valley, but we were pretty high up. We then hear something in the woods about 30 feet from us, breaking branches and rustling leaves. We point our flashlights over there and nothing living. We do see on the edge of our flashlight beams, a concrete type structure. Curiosity got to us and we decided to see what it was. As we got closer, we could see it was an old tombstone with what we figured were satanic markings on it. No other structure was nearby, so we wanted to look around. As we walked around, the air kept getting warmer and colder every 15 yards or so, which would make sense if the wind was blowing or we were near a body of water, but we weren't. After 10 minutes or so, one of our other friends yells out, "Over here, holy shit, over here." And we begin booking it to him. He is standing near what used to be a structure that had a half-filled / grown-in cellar. In the bottom was a couple of decomposed pig and deer heads. We called it a night right then and there and left. As we pulled out of the trail that lead to the road, there was a car parked on the side of the road with its headlights off. When the last group of our group pulled out and were a quarter-mile away, the lights came on and they turned into the woods. I don't know exactly what we found, but it made us stick to our local trails we knew from then on out. TL Doctor went off-roading with friends in high school. Found some seriously creepy stuff in the woods and old cellier. My great-grandmother, who is still alive today at age 105, used to live by herself in a house up until about 5 years ago, at which point she just physically couldn't take care of herself. Anyway, I was sometimes tasked with going over to her house and getting her ready for bed at night, which I despised. I was a teenager at the time, and having to put your grandmother to bed at 10 on a weekend was a real mood killer. On top of all that, her house was creepy. Everything in there was an antique, the air was musty, and she only had one light in her living room, which shone in the corner wall so that only one half of the room was well lit. So one night while I'm over getting her ready for bed, I realize that all the furniture in her living room has been rearranged. I'm talking a large couch and lazy boy chairs. No way she could have done it herself, as she needs a walker to move around. I immediately call my dad and grandfather, who are the only other two people who go visit her. They both tell me that they hadn't moved the furniture, that the furniture was in the right spot when they had eaten lunch with her. At this point I'm freaking out. To make matters worse, my grandmother starts telling me that she had came to visit her, and they had a lovely conversation before she ran down the stairs into the basement. I left immediately after and called my dad and waited until he got there before I went back inside. No one was inside, which I sort of figured since my grandma was a little out of it at this stage in her life, but we never could explain how the furniture got moved. I've been creeped out ever since of that house. Camping alone one summer. I woke up in the middle of a 2 a.m. thunderstorm. When I opened my eyes, I realized the tent was wide open. Outer and inner doors were open. I did not open them. It took some time to get back to sleep after that. It's no mystery that the 4th Avenue and Congress areas of Tucson are spooky at the best times of day and creepily haunting at the worst. This is a story about a haunted fetish shop. In my youth I was part of the Rocky Horror crowd and had to often get new outfits for special nights, and usually there was one reliable outfit store that catered to men and women with very specific fetishes and outfit preferences. This place wasn't scary to the average Joe, but stories of their storage basement floated around of horrible hauntings so scary it caused a gore special effects artist renting it out to flee in terror. But during office hours the door was usually shut and locked, as the stairs descending can be treacherous in the dark. One day I was shopping for men's-sized heels for gender bender night when I noticed the door to the basement open for once when a stock boy was bringing up boxes. A father had brought in his daughter while he shopped for a regular costume, and she went off bouncing her plastic ball through to the store. It was easy to know where she was with the echoing bounce 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 until I notices her interest in the basement. Giggling at the opportunity to throw a ball downstairs like kids do, she tossed the ball down into the darkness. Continuing to giggle, I got worried she was going to go down after it when the familiar bounce 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 started echoing loudly from the basement. From where I was standing I watched as the ball bounced up the stairs, hitting every stair one by one, until landing motionless at the girl's feet. She giggled and picked up the ball, and a giggle not like hers came up from the basement. She threw the ball again, and once more the ball bounced back up to her feet. Finally her father saw her and grabbed her by the hand to leave the store. I'd gone back to shopping when the shoe guru called me over for a fitting. As the father opened the door to leave, a loud motherfucker raged from the basement, and the door shut so hard several wall mounts behind the register came unhinged. The place is still open to this day. Comfy shoes too. P.S. No, the ghost didn't ask for tree fiddy. Last December, I was rearranging furniture around the house, and as I drew the living room curtains, I distinctly felt something grab my fingers from behind the curtain. Felt like cold, hard fingers. Almost childlike. I checked, expecting my cheeky younger sibling, but the place was absolutely empty. No explanation at all. Didn't think too much into it because I was crazy busy at the time. Looking back, it really freaks me out. So I'm about 14 when this happens, but it's late at night, it's stormy, and I'm up watching TV. You know how some channels go blank late at night? Well, that happened for a few minutes, and a seconds after it starts, I feel a jolt and think, did I somehow get struck by lightning? Then everything's hazy and I've got sleep paralysis with my eyes barely open. I see two black cloud orb things dart around, then settle into the corner of the room. Then on the TV I obscurely can see what looks like two clowns. Two creepy clowns. After what seems like forever of them looking at me, one chuckles and says he's with us now. Then a little more staring. Then back to regularly scheduled programming, which shed enough light to snap me back to fully awake. I was really conflicted on whether to call it a night or never sleep again, haha. Start with the plot twist first. I won't get as many upvotes as if I left it last, but I want to tell this story, not entertain Reddit. Sitting in the car garage at 10 p.m. which has a single, always locked, door. I hear it rattle. Hard. That was really strong wind. I heard the kitchen windows shake and rattle, and knock. Okay shit, I am 16 years old and I live with my dad and grandmother, and my dad is out driving taxis. It's up to me to investigate what the noises are. I spent 30 seconds looking out the kitchen window before. Knock, knock, knock. The chihuahua starts barking at the back door, and my concern becomes a realization. There's somebody that moved from door to door and tried to gain access to our house. And I'm 16 home alone with a 80-year-old grandmother. I wait and listen. Every door and window are locked and it's a small house. There's no sound for some time, and this is where I sometimes lose sleep at night. I grabbed a kitchen knife, placed it up my jumper, sweater, sleeve and walked out the front door to say hello. If anybody is there, come out now instead of hiding. Nobody showed. At 2 a.m. my dad came home from driving taxis and said, oh gee, I was caught up in a police roadblock looking for an escaped convict. That's paraphrased but completely true. To this day I always regret stepping outside and have trouble sleeping sometimes if the fridge makes noise or the house creaks. Frown. Edit, all my dad said was he was stopped, and they looked in his back seat for anybody, then said it was an escaped convict and to call them if they had any info. He did not call them at the end because he went to sleep and wasn't sure if me and my grandmother were making up the knocks on the door. A few years back I worked at the Russian River campground in Alaska, and the skies were so clear at night that my buddies and I made a game of spotting satellites. One night, coming back from the store at 1 AM or so, my buddy Nick steps out of the car and tells me first one to spot a satellite wins and then proceeded to point one out. Damn, I'm a fast loser. As we're both looking at this thing slowly gliding across the sky, it starts getting brighter. Impossibly bright. Like, it got bright all around us. In a terrifying moment that was all we knew. And as fast as it came it faded into darkness. We freaked the fuck out and woke everyone up to tell them what happened. It was madness at the time, and while Nick insisted aliens, I have always tried to keep a grounded position that it was probably just coincidental timing for a satellite to reflect the sun in our exact spot. Crazy. Fast forward to last July, a group of friends and I are stargazing in Garner State Park here in Texas. Laying in inner tubes at our campsite, I began explaining how to spot satellites in our beautifully clear sky. And I figure these kids are all really cool with me, I'll tell them. The closest thing to a paranormal experience I've ever had was the story I just passed on to you. And as I wrapped up my experience, something unsettling happened. Not a minute after concluding after the obvious "how high were you?" question, very, all the hair on my body stood on end as another Terry's one moment came, and the slow-moving spot of light began to grow into an enormous burst of light before fading into the night. We freaked the fuck out. 6 of us this time. Everyone has the logic to understand the sun can reflect off of these things. But the timing. It's uncanny. 2 weeks ago, one of the girls that was in that group rushed over at work to tell me that on her most recent camping trip with her family she told that last story to her father out late in the night, where the sky is clear and the stars are bright. And less than 5 minutes later the same fucking thing happened. Her dad goes full logic and stammeringly explains how the sun will reflect off the surface of a satellite. Obviously I wasn't there to verify that one, but the frequency that this has happened in conjunction to this story is uncanny. That is the closest thing to a paranormal experience I've had. So when you get a chance to escape into the wild and take a good clear look at the stars, keep an eye out for the lights in the sky. Smile. TL, Doctor saw lights in the sky, told people. It happened again immediately after telling them. One of them told someone, it happened again to them. Obviously satellites reflecting sun.